TV timeout.
I really hate you with everything in my, with all of my.
Hey.
Who's the cutest baby on the planet? Who's the cutest baby on the planet? It's Rainy. Right? Oh.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. For today's video, we're gonna be giving you guys a little backstory of what happened when this little nugget was born. Damn, she's heavy. Oh, this is also gonna be her 4-month update.
Nice.
Yeah, she turned 4 months on July 1st. So really quickly, just her stats since you weren't at her appointment. She is now 13 pounds, which isn't like that big, but it's average. We're used to having bigger kids. Like Aaliyah and Isaiah were always above average. Anyway, but her head is above average. Her head is big, he said. So she's 13 pounds. She's almost 25 inches long, so she's pretty tall. And she's definitely reaching some milestones kind of early. She already is rolling over and trying to crawl a little bit. She is kind of holding her bottle and grabbing at things. And what else does she do? She yells and coos at times.
She sings.
Yeah, she likes to sing. She smiles. She laughs.
Yeah.
She's thriving. Right, Rainy? Right?
I think she knows her name.
Oh yeah, she definitely knows her name. I was testing her yesterday. I kept saying her name and she kept looking. Rain. Rain. Of course she's not gonna do it now. Well, she's learning to respond to her name. And that's kind of it with her. She's still drinking the same formula. She's on Similac. She's in size 2 diapers. She's in 6-month clothing, and that's that.
She needs to be drinking rice cereal.
Rice cereal? Why?
So I can sleep.
What?
Why don't you get rice cereal?
She just turned 4 months. You can introduce cereal at 4 months. She doesn't need it.
I mean, I'm to try to sleep at night.
I wake up with her 9 times out of 10.
No.
You only wake up with her on the nights that I go to work in the morning.
And then I gotta go to work too, so at least
all right.
fill her
Well,
up.
I don't know. We'll see.
Or make her one of those Mexican dishes. You don't put in her bottle.
What Mexican dish goes in a bottle?
A Mexican dish you be cooking, yo. Whatever's in your blood, just
You know I'm putting this online. I can't. I have to edit that out.
No, you can't.
Yes.
Mash up some tostones.
Tostones are not even Mexican. I don't even think Mexicans eat tostones.
Blend up some mofongo.
Mofongo's definitely not Mexican.
Whatever, yo. Just mix it up and put it in a bottle. Just give her a little taste. Razzle up them taste
I wish
buds.
I was Mexican with all the. That's my favorite food to eat. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of give you guys a backstory, our labor and delivery story of Rain. So let's talk about when we got pregnant with her real fast. So I remember I brought the idea to you about like, hey, like let's try and get pregnant. And I got pregnant that week. Do you remember that? That very week, I found out on June 12th that I was pregnant of last year. In my pregnancy, I was severely anemic to the point where I was getting blood transfusions. I was getting IV iron infusions. I was getting B12 injections like every single week. So that by the time I was due to deliver her, my blood work would be normal and I could, you know, deliver safely without any problems. Got induced at 39 weeks because they didn't want the baby to be too big because she's my second VBAC, which means I had her naturally after having a C-section. And we went in, got induced. It was great, right? The birth was great, pushed her out like really fast.
I caught her.
Eric caught her, or like, I guess you delivered her is what they would technically call it. He delivered her. It was just like the easiest thing. I didn't think I can push her out like that easily. They put her on the scale to weigh her, and this little chicken nugget weighed, coming in hot, at a whopping.
What was it?
She was 9 pounds.
7?
Did you forget?
Oh, 9. Oh,
how do you forget
11.
that? She was born at 8:45 p.m. on March 1st. So that was all perfect, whatever. She's born, everything's great, we're happy. And then about 30 minutes after I birthed her, I wouldn't stop bleeding. So that's what's called postpartum hemorrhage, meaning that your body won't clots after having, you know, after delivering the baby, delivering the placenta, and it's a problem. It's a medical emergency. The doctors were trying everything that they could to stop the bleed, and I just would not stop bleeding. I mean, I was like gushing blood. It was pretty bad.
Oh, crazy.
So they tried, there's usually like a protocol that hospitals will follow for things like this, for these types of emergencies. So they were following the protocol by giving me one med, then another, then another, then another, then hanging, bolusing a bunch of fluids, and just nothing was working. So I ended up going into hypovolemic
TV timeout.
They tried everything to try and get the bleed to stop, which was just basically a bunch of different routes of medication. Nothing was working. I remember feeling very, very lethargic and telling the nurse, like, I don't want to die here. And she's like, don't say that. That's all I remember. I remember feeling really weak. I remember hearing the doctor say, hang this amount of blood. Another doctor saying, no, she's not going to make it. She needs this amount of blood, and prepare her for surgery. All the while, Eric was asleep. He was asleep on the little couch that's there for like the husband or whatever. And it was literally like a scene of Grey's Anatomy where there was like a bunch of doctors, a bunch of nurses in there just trying to figure out what to do to get me to stop bleeding.
They woke me up and she said that she's losing a lot of blood. And I don't know if I was dreaming or, I don't know.
You were really tired too because we had woken up super early and stuff.
Yeah. And then I thought everything was good because when she delivered, you know, I just looked over, baby was good, laid down, and the doctor was like, yeah, she's losing a lot of blood, or they're going to surgery. And then I sort of like woke up, and then like within like, I don't know, 20 minutes, and we were going to have surgery. And it was a long, what, 30, 45 minutes waiting. A long time, scary. But God comes through as always.
Yeah, so Eric gave consent for me to have surgery, with the risk being that we cannot have any, well, I cannot have any more children. So I went into surgery, and everything's kind of a blur because I was in shock, like I said. I had lost so much blood already. Everything was pretty much a blur, but I remember the doctor saying, the surgeon saying, okay, if this doesn't work, we have to do a hysterectomy, which is where they take out just like all your lady parts, and you're just like, it's like all of your female, you know, your female anatomy, your uterus, your fallopian tubes, everything, whatever. So I was terrified, I was scared, I was sad, I was a bunch of things. I remember waking up from the procedure because I had felt pressure on my hip. What, is she throwing up again?
She just, yeah.
I had felt pressure on my like groin area, and the nurse was holding pressure, and I said, did it work? And she goes, yeah, we think it worked. We think we got the bleed under control, but we just don't know where the source of the bleed was. So basically they couldn't find where I was bleeding from, because it's not necessarily, like usually they can cauterize or stop the bleed wherever you're bleeding, but they didn't know where it was coming from. All they know is that they were able to stop it. So I had a surgery called a pelvic artery embolization, where they go into your femoral artery and inject some stuff that makes you clot, basically, so that you can stop bleeding, because my blood was very thin. That's what the doctor said, that it was abnormally thin. I got sent to the ICU, where I was on, I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink anything, I was NPO, I was on Pitocin still to try and get my uterus to contract. It was just like the worst situation ever. I couldn't see the baby because she was in the nursery. Mind you, this was at the start of the whole COVID thing, because it was March 1st, and this was like right when they were kind of like limiting, or no, they weren't limiting anything, but people were starting to come into the hospital with these symptoms from COVID. So they were not about to bring a newborn baby to the ICU to see me. So I saw her like twice while I was in the ICU. Then finally I went to postpartum. I feel like I'm leaving out so many details, but I don't want this to be too long. I finally got sent to the postpartum unit where I could be with Rain. So we were there for maybe like 2 or 3 days, and then we got discharged home, and I was fine. So when Rain was 2 weeks old, I woke up with really bad, like a bad stomach ache. And I remember like moaning in pain. Oh, good Lord. Here, hold on. It's okay.
Did you burp her?
No, I didn't.
Maybe she got gas.
I woke up with really bad abdominal pain, and Eric like woke up and he's like, hey, are you okay? And I had realized, I'm like, damn, this pain just woke me up. So what happened? I was like, no. He was like, oh, do you want to go to the doctor? I'm like, no. I thought it was like a gas pain, like a gas bubble. And you were asking me if I want to go to the doctor. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I would be super embarrassed if I went to the hospital for like a gas pain. So he called my doctor, my OB, and she said, well, Liz is not like a normal patient. Being that she had this issue, like, you know, with her birth, like, just go to the ER. So I was like, fine, whatever. So I go to get up and I realized I couldn't even stand. I was in that much pain. So we had to call the ambulance. Ambulance brought me to the nearest hospital near our house, which is not where I'm covered under my insurance, mind you.
Like a $700 bill.
Yeah, the ambulance bill was
$655.
So I get to the hospital, they do a total workup, which means blood work, x-ray, or not x-ray, they did blood work, they did a CT scan, and they did an ultrasound. All of my blood work was normal. I had no fever. My ultrasound or my CT scan was normal. On my ultrasound, they found that my fallopian tube on the right side, which is where I had surgery a couple years ago, was full of fluid. And she said it was very large. She goes, I don't know, this can be a cause of it, of your pain. We're not really sure. So meanwhile, Eric was Googling things because he doesn't know much about like medical stuff. But
nope.
Oh, this kind of sounds like appendicitis. And I'm like, what the hell are the odds that I would have appendicitis now? Like, why? That's so random. Whatever. So at that hospital, they said, okay, we want to admit you for further testing. And I said, absolutely not. My insurance is not covered here. I need to be transferred to another hospital. So I got transferred to my hospital where I work, where my insurance is, whatever. And my doctor wanted me to do another workup in that ER. And I was just like, what the hell? I'm in so much pain. I cannot sit in the ER again for like 3 hours. I need to just be admitted to a unit so they can take care of it. So we get into the ER. They see me right away because I'm an employee, which was nice. And they take blood work again. And then like an hour later or whatever, I hear a sepsis alert. Do you remember you asking? And you're like, what's sepsis? I'm like, oh, that means like you're basically like a full body infection. And little did I know it was me that was septic. So the doctor comes in, they're like, yeah, you're septic. I had a fever from like 0, or not 0, but I mean no fever to 103 point something. My white blood cell count was elevated like tremendously, like super, super high. I was very septic. So they admitted me. I was NPO still. I hadn't eaten, hadn't drinking. They started me on like heavy dose antibiotics. Long story short, I had to have another surgery because I had a complication from the first surgery. Yeah.
Who's calling you?
I don't know.
Popular.
I feel like answering it. I wish I could. Siri, stop. Silence it. And like my iPad and
Siri,
my phone are ringing.
decline call.
Why is that not a function? It should be. I'm writing a letter. I had a complication, had to have another surgery. She told me that she would have to remove my fallopian tubes and my ovaries, which I was like devastated by. I was already going through postpartum depression. And so I go into surgery expecting one thing. I wake up and I have just 3 little like steri strips. And I was so confused. I'm like, what did they do? And like, yeah, they removed your appendix. And I'm like, what? I did have appendicitis? So weird. Turns out that when she went in laparoscopically, which means that she just like made an incision and looked in with a camera, she saw that my fallopian tubes looked fine and my ovaries looked fine. So at that point she called, and because she's an OB, OBs can only perform certain surgeries within their like scope of practice. So she called in a general surgeon to explore to see what else was not looking right. And that's where they found my appendix, which was very swollen, very enlarged, whatever. So they took that out, but what they discovered was under my appendix was a 10-centimeter blood clot, which is like literally the size of Rain's head. It's huge. So that was the source. That was putting pressure on my appendix, and that's why I had pain like appendicitis. So it was like pseudo appendicitis, if that's a thing. I was in the hospital for another 6 days, and at this point, it's now March 15th. COVID is definitely a thing. I did not see Rain for that whole week. Eric had to come and go, but like with weird hours that the hospital was permitting.
Oh yeah.
It was just such a pain in the ass. It was like the worst experience ever. So yeah, after 6 days and and not eating for 4 of those 6 days and being on heavy dose antibiotics and morphine and just all these like really rough, hardcore meds that I just was not feeling myself. I had really bad thoughts, which I won't get into, but Thank God I kind of snapped out of it. Got discharged, went home, and I've been fine ever since. I saw a hematologist. They could not find a reason why all of these things happened to me. They did a bunch of tests. Everything came back normal, so we don't know. But that's the story of how Rain got here. Her name is Rain Eden McCree. And she might be our last baby, but we'll see.
Surrogate, send in your application now.
Yeah, so we're like exploring the ideas of like adoption or foster to adopt or surrogacy. Everything's just so expensive and so overwhelming, but we'll see what happens.
I got good sperm now.
I really hate you with everything in my, with all of my. That's it for today's video. I know it was kind of chatty, but it was just a quick labor and delivery story / 4-month update for our baby girl.
Hey,
and
you want a sister?
Oh, don't say that. If I can get pregnant now, I totally would.
You want a sister?
Should we try?
Practice make perfect. Like that.
No.
I tried to wink.
You can't wink if it's both eyes. You're just blinking then.
Alright, check y'all next time.
You have to say though, make sure you comment, subscribe. Subscribe is a big thing. We have to say like, please subscribe. We're a new channel. We're trying to grow, blah, blah, blah. Oh.
Make sure you subscribe. We're a new channel. Make sure you subscribe.
Forget
blah, blah.
Forget it. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like our content and you are interested in us.
What was wrong with
If you're interested in us, please subscribe.
What was wrong with my clothes?
For more content.
Subscribe, that's the point, right?
Yes, but you have to tell them why. Because we're a new channel, we're trying to grow.
Blah, blah, blah.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.